I always believed that kindness was the glue that held families together. Growing up, whenever there was tension between my sister and me, I'd be the one to reach out first, apologize even when I wasn't wrong, lend money without keeping count, show up with soup when she was sick, forgive the little lies because I didn't want to lose her. I thought if I just kept being gentle, kept giving, we'd always find our way back to each other. That's what sisters do, right? But somewhere along the way, I started to notice the quiet shift. The favors I offered without being asked became things she expected. The apologies I gave freely turned into ones she demanded. The money I handed over because family helps family stopped coming back, and the excuses grew longer. I told myself it was fine. I told myself she was going through a hard time. I told myself that real love means swallowing the hurt and smiling anyway. Then one day, sitting alone in my kitchen with an empty chair across from me, it hit me like a slow, heavy wave. My kindness hadn't strengthened our bond. It had made me small in her eyes. She didn't see a sister anymore. She saw someone she could lean on without ever leaning back. Someone who wouldn't fight, wouldn't say no, wouldn't leave. And the worst part? She knew it. She counted on it. I stared at my phone at the unanswered texts I'd sent checking on her, and felt this ache deep in my chest, not loud, not angry, just tired. When did my softness become her weapon? When did trying to keep the peace mean I lost my own voice? How do you keep loving someone who's learned exactly how to hurt you without ever raising their hand? Hello and welcome. Before we start, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. If these real stories speak to you, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button. So enjoy the story. My sister, Lila, is 2 years older than me. From the moment I could walk, I trailed after her like a shadow, her curly hair bouncing ahead of me, her laugh pulling me along. We grew up in a small house on the edge of town, the kind where the walls were thin and the nights were loud with our parents' arguments drifting down the hallway. Mom worked double shifts at the diner, Dad fixed cars in the garage out back, and most evenings it was just the two of us, making dinner from whatever was left in the fridge. Lila was the brave one. She'd climb the tallest tree in the yard, dare me to follow, then reach down and haul me up when my arm shook. When thunderstorms rolled in, she'd crawl into my bed without asking, whispering stories about clouds being angry giants until I fell asleep against her shoulder. I adored her for that, for how safe she made the world feel. But I was the soft one. When she broke Mom's favorite vase racing through the house, I took the blame because Lila had a spelling test the next day, and I didn't want her grounded. When she spent her allowance on candy and came home crying because she had nothing left for the school fair, I emptied my piggy bank into her palm. It's okay, I'd say quietly. We're a team. She'd hug me tight and promise, "You're the best little sister ever." Those moments piled up like treasures. Sleepovers in the living room fort, sharing secrets under blankets with flashlights. The summer we saved up for matching bicycles, mine secondhand, hers new, and rode them until the streetlights flickered on. The way she defended me when kids at school teased me about my glasses, standing in front of me like a shield. Even the small things, her saving the last cookie for me braiding her hair before picture day. I learned early that giving made the hurt smaller. When Mom and Dad fought, I'd bring them both cups of tea, hoping a small kindness might cool the air. When Lila slammed her bedroom door after another argument with Dad, I'd slip notes underneath, little drawings, silly jokes, anything to bring her back out smiling. And it worked most of the time. She'd open the door, pull me inside, and we'd lie on her bed talking until everything felt steady again. I truly believed that was the secret to us. As long as I kept showing up with open hands and an open heart, nothing could pull us apart. Blood was one thing, but kindness, that was the promise we renewed every time I forgave, every time I gave without counting. It was how I loved her best. It was how I made sure she'd always love me back. Looking back, I can still feel the warmth of those years like sunlight stored in my chest. I never imagined a day would come when that same warmth would be the very thing she reached for when she needed something from me, and the thing I'd wish I'd guarded a little closer. As we got older, life pulled us in different directions, but I kept reaching back. Lila moved out first, into a tiny apartment across town after she landed a job at the insurance office. I stayed home a little longer, helping Mom with the bills while I finished community college. Whenever Lila called, sounding tired or overwhelmed, I'd drop everything, drive over with groceries, stay to clean her kitchen, listen for hours while she talked about her stressful boss or the guy who ghosted her. One evening, she phoned just as I was sitting down to dinner. "Hey, I'm short on rent this month. Can you spot me? I'll pay you back next paycheck." I transferred the money before we hung up. She didn't mention it again, and I didn't ask. It felt easier that way. Little things like that started adding up. She'd borrow my car for just the weekend and return it on empty with fast food wrappers on the seat. I'd fill the tank and say nothing. When she needed a +1 for her work party, I'd put on the dress I saved for special occasions and smile through conversations with strangers while she flitted around the room. Afterward, she'd say, "You're so good at this. People love you." I'd glow inside, thinking that was enough. There were quieter moments that left a bruise I couldn't name. Like the time I told her, voice soft, that I'd been offered a promotion, more hours, better pay. She listened, then sighed and said, "Must be nice to have everything fall into place for you." The words sat between us like smoke. I laughed it off, changed the subject to her day. Inside, something small twisted, but I pushed it down. She was probably just having a rough week. Another Christmas, I spent weeks saving for the leather jacket she'd been hinting at. When she opened it, her smile was quick, almost distracted. "Oh, wow. Thanks." Then she turned to Mom and started complaining about how cold her apartment was. I told myself she was stressed. I told myself gifts weren't about the thank you. The doubt crept in slowly, like water under a door. I'd catch her rolling her eyes when I offered help, hear the edge in her voice when I asked gentle questions about money she still owed. But every time the hurt rose, love rose faster. She was my sister. She'd held me during thunderstorms. She'd needed me once, and maybe she still did. Saying no felt like closing a door I'd spent my whole life keeping open. So I kept quiet. I kept giving. I kept believing that if I just stayed kind enough, patient enough, she'd see me again, the way she used to when we were kids. The red flags were there, soft and fluttering, but I looked past them every time. Because losing her felt worse than any small ache. I never imagined how much heavier those aches could get, or that one day, the person I'd spent years protecting would be the one to swing the door shut on me. Last spring, Mom's health started slipping. The doctor found a shadow on her lung, and suddenly everything felt fragile. Tests, appointments, nights sitting in waiting rooms with stale coffee. Lila was busy with work, she said, so I took the early shifts, driving Mom to scans, holding her hand while they drew blood, staying over when the pain meds made her restless. I paid the copays without thinking, dipped into the savings I'd been building for a down payment on a little place of my own. Family first, I told myself. Always. One afternoon, after another long day at the hospital, I came home and opened my banking app to transfer money for Mom's new prescription. The balance stopped me cold. It was almost empty. Thousands gone. My stomach dropped as I scrolled through the statements, large transfers I hadn't made, all to an account I didn't recognize. My hands shook while I called the bank. They confirmed the transactions had come from my laptop, the one I kept unlocked because Lila often borrowed it when she visited. I phoned her that evening. My voice stayed quiet, even as my heart pounded. "Lila, did you take money from my account?" Silence on the line, then a soft sigh. I was in a bind. Rent was late, and I had some bills. "I knew you'd understand." "You always do." "That was everything I had saved," I whispered. "For Mom's treatment. For my future." "I'll pay it back," she said quickly. "Eventually. You know I'm good for it. And honestly, you have a steady job. Mom needs you more than she needs the money sitting in some savings account." I sat there on the kitchen floor, phone pressed to my ear, feeling the room tilt. All the years of giving, forgiving, staying soft so we wouldn't break, and she'd reached right into my life and taken what she needed, certain I wouldn't stop her. For the first time, the ache didn't fade. It settled deep and stayed. I didn't scream. I didn't drive to her apartment or demand the money back with tears and accusations. The next morning, I woke up with a stillness I hadn't felt before, like the storm had passed and left only quiet behind. I changed the passwords on every account. I locked the laptop I used to share so freely. When Lila texted the next day, "Hey, you okay? Haven't heard from you," I read the message, felt the familiar pull to reply, to smooth things over, and then I set the phone down. I didn't answer. Not that day, or the next, or the one after that. Mom noticed the change first. She asked softly why Lila hadn't come by. I told her the truth in small pieces, that I'd lent more than I could afford, that I needed to take care of myself now too. She squeezed my hand and didn't push. For the first time, I let someone else carry a little of the worry. I started small routines to fill the space where I used to pour everything into her. I walked in the early mornings when the town was still asleep. I saved again, slowly, putting away $20 at a time. I said no when people asked for things I couldn't give without emptying myself. Each no felt like lifting a weight I hadn't realized I'd been carrying. The ache for my sister didn't disappear. Some nights I still pictured us as kids, tangled in blankets, whispering secrets. I missed that version of us. But I stopped trying to bring it back by giving more. I stopped believing that my kindness had to mean my silence. I chose dignity instead. Quiet, steady dignity. I chose to love her from a distance that protected me. And in that space, I began to hear my own voice again, soft but clear. I don't know if she'll ever pay the money back. I don't know if she'll call and apologize, or if she'll keep pretending nothing happened. What I do know is that I'm learning how to hold my own heart without waiting for her to do it for me. And maybe one day, that will be enough. Months have passed now, and the distance between Lila and me has settled into something steady, like the space between two old trees that grew too close and finally learned to spread their branches apart. I still think of her often, not with bitterness, but with a gentle sadness for the closeness we once had. I've come to understand that kindness isn't weakness. It's a gift I choose to give, not a debt others can collect. The difference lies in the boundaries I draw around it now. I can love without emptying myself. I can care without carrying everything alone. Mom's treatment is going better than we hoped. The shadow is shrinking, and on good days she sits on the porch with me, watching the sunset paint the sky the way it did when we were kids. We talk about small things, flowers, recipes, the neighbor's new dog, and it feels like enough. I've saved enough for a little apartment of my own now. The down payment came slower this time, but it feels stronger because every dollar is mine, protected, chosen. I light candles in the evenings and read books I never had time for before. I say yes to the things that fill me up and no to the ones that don't, and both answers feel like breathing. Kindness hasn't left me. It's just quieter now, wiser. I give it where it's welcomed, where it's returned in some small way. And to my sister, I send it from afar, like a soft light through a window she may or may not notice. I'm okay. Truly okay. The heart that once bent too far has learned to stand tall without breaking. And in that quiet strength, I found a deeper kind of peace than I ever knew before. Thank you for watching and being part of this story. If you enjoyed it, please like the video and subscribe for more powerful real-life stories. Your support helps this channel grow and reach more hearts. Thank you, and see you again soon.